Maids vs Zombies, what could go wrong here? Actually nothing really. Well, at least nothing major, but certainly some minor things can go wrong, or not really wrong, but rather could have been done better. Since this is a game from Qureate, of course a lot of fan service will be the norm and I am all for it, so be prepared for a lot of panties. So a zombie epidemic broke out in Akiba, which is short for Akihabara. Maids Hihara, Nagisa and Kazune Rinka are surrounded by zombies and have no way of escaping until Rinka reveals that she has been bitten by a zombie and knows that she will turn into one soon. But before that happens, she sacrifices herself to let Nagisa escape. While fleeing, Nagisa runs to the maid cafe she and Rinka worked at, and there she meets another survivor, Mikagami Kanon. And since she is a scientist, she will be a major factor in saving certain characters in the game that will fight alongside Nagisa later on. But first, through the explanation of Kanon, Nagisa finds out that there are individuals with a special antibody that slows down the transformation into a zombie if bitten by one. Nagisa just so happens to be one of those individuals, and since she wants to save her friend Rinka, she grabs her AK and goes to town. She finds Rinka, but almost completely zombified. However, since she also has that special antibody, she still can be saved. Almost zombie Rinka gets defeated in a fight. Nagisa transports her back to the base, and through this minigame and Kanon's vaccine, Rinka can get saved, and will be saved. Rinka now also grabs her weapons and goes to town with Nagisa, trying to possibly find other survivors. They find an idol named Hikami Arisa, a ninja-themed maid called Layla Sanders, who is a foreigner, and finally Tsuchiura Otoha, who is a veteran maid. But since all girls want to find a solution for this zombie epidemic or pandemic or whatever, they come across Anjo Miona, a former colleague of Kanon. I mean, sure, the story is kind of basic and you know how it's going to end. Even the little twist it has in the later half will not really surprise you at all, but hey, it's still fine the way it is. Just keep in mind that there will be a lot of dialogue, so be prepared for that. There will also be some added sub-stories you can unlock for each character and other sub-stories after certain levels to add even more dialogue. Each character has 3 sub-story events, and these can be unlocked by playing as that character a certain amount of times. But you should not repeat the same levels, you have to go from level to level. In the third and final sub-story, you will unlock an image of that character which will be added to your gallery in the game. Other sub-stories are unlocked slightly differently. These are unlocked if you find these made headbands, I think it's called, during a certain level. Qureate really gave the voice actresses a lot to say in here, even though it's not that long of a game. But hey, I am fine with the amount of dialogue. Well, it also depends on the characters, because almost all characters are fine to listen to, but then there are those very few that they get slightly annoying. The worst one in my opinion is Layla, and if you play the game you will understand why. But hey, that's just me. If you like this kind of characters, then that's fine and more power to you. And I understand that games like these need to have different girls with different personalities. So I am not faulting the developers for this after all. One character that is important in the story but you won't be able to unlock is Anjo. She is the main villain, and it's a bit sad that she is not unlockable. Initially, you will not be able to play as Kanon either, but once you've beaten the game, you will unlock the survival mode. Beat that, and you will unlock Kanon, and she is a top tier fighter. That has a flaw. One thing that surprised the shit out of me was the music. The first time I started the game, I stayed in the main menu for around 30 minutes just listening to the music because it's fucking awesome. Some of the tracks in the game are as awesome as the main menu track, and I will add them all to my playlist for sure. In fact, while writing this script, I was listening to the main menu music and rocking it out. Now, this is a twin stick shooter. This means you use one stick to move and the other to aim. In the case of Maid of the Dead, the girls shoot automatically after every 2, maybe 3 seconds. You run around shooting zombies and collecting hearts. These hearts are what allows you to level up during each match, and you can upgrade yourself with each level gained. You know, with stuff like drones, missiles or grenades to help you out in battle, or stat enhancers. All of these are also broken down by levels as well, so just collect these hearts and boost yourself up. And yeah, I can see how having this screen popping up after each level can get annoying because it breaks the flow of the game, but to be honest, it didn't bother me too much. The zombies get stronger by the minute, and obviously by the level, and they can easily surround you towards the end of the game, especially because they fall from the sky. Or they jump down a building or something, I don't know. Just pay attention to the shadows, especially when they literally surround you. So make sure not to just shoot or melee them, but also to use your special ability. These are limited by 3 per battle. You can enhance it to 4 during each battle, however. And while technically you can beat a game with any girl, each one has a different way of fighting despite all using guns and melee weapons. Rinka is probably the best one since she snipes the hell out of everybody. She uses a sword that has the longest range, and her special essentially kills everybody near her. She is the fucking GOAT, and yes, for me she's definitely the best girl overall. Cannon's homing missile, I think it's called, is probably the most powerful one in the game, and her special is as well, but what brings her down is her melee attack, which isn't a melee attack at all. She just throws one of these lab bottles things in an arc. Otoha, Arisa and Nagisa are probably on the same level of greatness, I guess, while Layla is probably the worst one because despite her being the fastest, her Uzi doesn't do all that much damage. Her melee range attack is short and her special is a bit weird despite looking cool. But again, that's just me. I just preferred Rinka and used her the most throughout the game. Depending on your performance, you will also gain points. With these, you can buy items and upgrade or level up your girls if you also have the items necessary for it. However, you can only increase one level at a time instead of multiple at once. Graphically, the game looks quite good. I like the girls and the obvious fan service, the 2D graphics during battle and everything else. Well, at least for what it is, of course. The only thing is that there can be a bit of a slowdown here and there, especially when a lot of zombies are on the field and you use a flamethrower to burn them down. By the way, the flamethrower is fucking powerful. Also, one thing I've noticed are some mistakes here and there, like no space between words, addressing Rinka as Reika even though the character clearly says Rinka, but it happens just once, text slightly off center and minor stuff like that. Doesn't happen all the time, but it's noticeable. Also, the difficulty could have been increased because, for the most part, this is a very easy game. Maybe add a normal, hard or even extreme difficulty or something. So you decide if this game is worth getting. Personally, I think it was. And yes, there are some aspects in the game I didn't really address properly because I want you to buy the game and play it for yourself. I just hope for two things. One, that this game doesn't suffer the same fate as Dual Princess, but seemingly it already did because I cannot find it on Steam. And two, that Qureate gets their heads out of their ass and finally release their games uncensored and physically on the fucking Switch. And yes, fix the minor mistakes Maid of the Dead has.